Hey guys, Bolt here with a summary of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles classic series, the trilogy of movies, and the Last Ronin. This is kind of like, this is that timeline, and mostly what they're about. So, like, the comics kind of go over it a little bit. Like the original comic was like the Turtles and Splinter were like reincarnated from a family of Japanese or Chinese descent, and basically, like they were reincarnated to be these ninjas and kind of fight off Shredder and the Foot. It's a confusing series, but it is better than half the stuff nowadays. When it comes to the 90s or 80s show, that kind of went meh for me. And why I say it's meh is because the whole thing that is basically they made the comics into a child's toy, literally. It is made because of a toy line, and they had to make it sell. They have to make it more child friendly. So less usage of weapons, a lot less serious motives. Instead of the reincarnation aspect of revenge and all that, we have the situation that is, I believe they were just, it was a master of karate that had some pet turtles that went into a sewer and were covered with mutagen that made them into mutants. And the turtles were touched by Rokusaki, I believe is what Splinter's name was. And because he's human, his genes mixed with the turtles, making them human-sized turtles. And Splinter touched a rat, I guess, and he turned into a rat-sized human. And basically, because he's a master of arts, he teaches the boys to protect him and all that, because they are all freaks and might as well be the same kind of like, I don't know what to call it, but like they're family because they're the only people that would understand each other. And in the original series, it's kind of just like beat Shredder, beat the Foot, beat this alien thing, and it really doesn't go too well to what I know the Ninja Turtles are. They kind of go more public in that series and kind of teach lessons that's like, why are you out in the open? It was my biggest question. And then we have like the trilogy of the movies, which the very first one, it takes the comics and it takes the animated series. That way kids can see it, but yet people that are a fan of the comics can also appreciate it. And it's basically the same concept, it's different. Basically, instead of the master being the one that adopts the turtles and gets mutated, it is the pet rat of Hirokusaki, who was killed by Shredder. He got sliced when he went to go attack Shredder and took off his, I believe he messed up his Shredder's face. And he found the turtles, and since they were all like touched by human beings, they all became human-sized versions of those animals. And basically they lived together because The pet rat was the pet to a karate master or a martial arts master. He learned it as he was seeing it, and they also taught the turtles. Well, then you go on to the April scene where it's just like, hey, I'm a reporter. And then like the son or the brother, I'm trying to remember what it is. I think April's little brother. Yeah, April's little brother, I believe, goes into the Foot Clan and goes and tells about the Foot Clan, and because she's a reporter, she can get it to the public that this clan exists and there's ninjas in New York. The Foot Clan come after her because now she's a loose end that needs tied up. So the Ninja Turtles run into her, fight off the Foot for her, and now the Foot knows about the Turtles, which means they might have some trouble trying to knock off this, put them into this corner and deal with it. So basically, it's just a fight between the two clans, and Shredder fights Splinter in the end, and he drops him into a dumpster truck, and the great Casey Jones compacts him in a garbage truck. And he's known to be dead, but then we get like hey, he's gonna be back. And guess what? We have two. The Shredder didn't die from it. He learns about the mutagen that the Turtles and Splinter use. So he uses that to make a tortoise and I think a coyote, into mutants, and they're stronger than the Turtles because they may be babies, but they're also Predator and a more bulky version of them. And in the end, Shredder uses the mutagen on himself, making him Super Shredder, and he basically, I think it's Splinter again, makes him take out like bridge supports and it lands on him. And then like the very last movie is like, hey, now that Shredder's dealt with, what are we going to do? We're looking towards adulthood. We have to deal with New York and the public. And, we're over here trying to figure out what we're going to do as adult Ninja Turtles. And basically, hey, no, let's do this time adventure real quick. That has to do with comics and the TV show. And they go back and they go into like ancient Japan or ancient China. And they run into like the ancestor of Shredder. And like there's a prince and there's another one that are like forbidden love. They have a time scepter. The Turtles have a time scepter. They swap time things. And then the Turtles go back to kind of get the people back. Oh, it was April who got sent back, and like the prince that got sent forward. They got to get April back, the prince back. That way everyone's back in their own time. And the Ninja Turtles are historically a part of the timeline now. And that's really it for the first three movies and the original series. Is just so basically the original comic is dark. It's a generational war on revenge, and then there is the animated series, which is just, hey kids, let's just have fun and learn lessons, and our cool teenage boys are gonna keep knocking out the villain of the week. The trilogy of movies is basically like a mixture of the comic and the animated series. For the first one, clan against clan, and then the second one is, hey, let's replicate the Turtles formula, but let's add music and no weapons, because apparently later in the animated show, weapons were too dangerous to show kids, so let's get rid of those. Then they return the weapons back in the third movie, and they make it more of a adventure instead of a musical. and it's too weird, so it ruins the series. And then basically it's just like, hey, the turtles now have their own canon event. So let's go into Last Ronin, which was the biggest part of this video. The Last Ronin is like the godsend of Ninja Turtle content. Basically, take the seriousness of the third one, of the comics, not the third one, and basically turn it up to 10. So basically, hey, these people have been like reincarnated as animals, and their family has been fighting the clan for the longest time. I believe they go on to a war, like a full-on scale war around New York, and allies across the comics come together and try to defeat the Shredder and all that, and it's very confusing how it seems. I don't think in the Last Ronin I don't think they ever explained what happens to the Shredder. I know he gets defeated. I know that Karai gets into she gets injured and put into comatose state, and she has a son that is now ruling the future. So basically, one turtle survived this war in the past. That is our normal timeline. He survives all his allies and friends and his family, and now he's trying to beat the Shredder's grandson and take on like all these other like robots, and basically he's got the broken weapons of the other turtles, and he's just basically pulling a Dark Knight Returns kind of situation. Not a Dark Knight Returns. I'm trying to remember what it is, but like old Batman, basically, is what Last Ronin is. He runs into a crippled and robotic, like an arm and a leg have been replaced on April. She has a daughter for, April has a daughter with Casey. They got married in the middle of the war, and they had a daughter. So basically, April was pregnant, lost a leg and an arm, and was nursed in the background so she wouldn't get hunted down. And we learn in the war times, basically it was like, I'm trying to remember the timeline. It was like Raphael, they were going to meet up with the Foot Clan for a peace. No, not a peace treaty. Oh wait, no. Back in the sewers, I believe they found out where their home was. They found them, and they attacked Splinter, and basically they had to run to April's place, nurse Splinter, and kind of hold down the fort. But guess what? Raphael, being the redhead he is, runs over back to the Foot Clan and tries to to kill Karai, basically. And he injures her, but he dies in the end. Then you have Leonardo and... Well, actually, no, not Leonardo. I'm trying to remember. I think Splinter and Donatello go to make a peace treaty with the Foot Clan, get jumped and get killed, both of them. Then Michelangelo, Leonardo, April, and Casey, and a few of the other people are held up in another bunker. I think it's Stockman. Stockman is hunting down Fugitoid, who's like the holy grail of the war. And because Fugitoid took himself, wasn't wanting to get caught, he was going to, knock himself down, but Stockman blows up the area, which I guess most of the allies got away. That's when April lost an arm and a leg. But Leo and Casey die in that collapse, fighting off the people so that the rest can live. And with that, basically, Mikey knew about Raph's death. He presumed Casey and Leo died. Well, technically all his allies, and April, he believes they died without any connection from Donnie or Splinter. He thinks that they were jumped and killed. So he basically is like alone, has no family, no friends. So he goes into, I believe, he runs off into another country and wants to just die, but because his will keeps him alive, he has to endure it. But then, he was getting beaten down by people, and he was going to let them kill him, but he gets, trained in ninja. But eventually he says, you know what? I was a ninja. I was put in this family for a reason. Michelangelo is the last Ronin. Spoilers alert, I forgot to mention that. But basically, Mikey's like, alright, enough with the jokes, enough with the pranks. I'm going to get serious. My family were ninjas and were built to fight this Foot Clan and put an end to them so the rest of the world wouldn't have to deal with them. So he comes back. He's been gone so long, so the Shredders, the Foot Clan, has had free range without no ninjas to kind of block them from continuing. So now they have gone without any problems. So basically, Mikey Ronin's over here trying to get revenge and defeat the last of the Shredder's family and completely put a stop to it. But he doesn't have any help. But guess what? There's a whole rebellion, and guess who's doing that? April, and I believe her name's Casey, after Casey Jones. She gets taught by Mikey how to fight, and the Future Toid is also alive. His head has been preserved, and they use him to kind of give him an opening to attack, and they're able to break into the defenses of the tower. Mikey gets into a fight with the grandson of Shredder, who has a self-repairing suit, and basically, due to him being a highly evolved mutant, he's able to outlast a lot of pain, but yet he's able to beat the grandson, but he dies of blood loss. And he eventually gets to meet his family in the afterlife. Which, I believe their family believes in you must die in a good fight. Which he did. And then, April and Casey find him, and, they be able to put him to rest. The world is now free thanks to the Turtles and Splinter. And that's really it for the original content. I'm sorry that I didn't get into too detail, but I barely touched the original comics. I knew the concept due to 03 kind of going back and mentioning them, so I wanted to do some research on them before. 80s and 90s animated series isn't that big. The trilogy was the trilogy movies is what I grew up on. I loved the first one. I'm okay with the second one, and I'm acknowledging the existence of the third one. And then the Last Ronin was this is what a mature Ninja Turtle story should be. But anyways, that is it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.